Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Underwriting assistance for our program is provided by the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing. Today on Oklahoma Gardening, we look at a showy Oklahoma Proven shrub. We visit a beautiful garden in a Tulsa neighborhood that is more small farm than yard. Host Casey Hentges reveals another great Viewers Garden contest. We have Turfgrass information for May. Micah Anderson from Langston University joins us with tips for selling at a farmer's market. And Barbara Brown cooks Brussels sprouts, bacon, and pistachios.
One time I wish we had smell-o-vision, because if you could smell the sweet fragrance coming off of the abundance of flowers from this plant, it's one that you would definitely want to add into your garden. This is Viburnum carlesii, or Koreanspice Viburnum, and it's an early spring blooming Oklahoma Proven shrub that will do great in your garden. You can see it gets to be about a mature height of 6 feet, and the same about on the spread, a 6-foot spread. It's definitely one that might need a little room, but you want to plant it in partial sun to partial shade. So we've got it here against some other trees, but we're also got full exposure to the south sun here. Now, this plant does prefer acidic soils and some moist soils, but it can be pushed into some of our more higher pH soils as well. And it can tolerate some of those windy locations that we often find in Oklahoma. This plant is pretty low maintenance and drought tolerant once it is established. In addition to these pink buds that open up to a white flower, later on in the season you're going to get red berries that eventually turn black that will also add to the fall attraction of this plant. This is a great Oklahoma Proven shrub to add to your garden. We're here at the home of Tom and Rita Long, and we are in their backyard here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Rita, this is just lovely, but you're actually new to gardening, is that correct?
Thank you. Yes, we just started about really about a year and a half ago, just really starting to build our urban garden. So.
Yeah, and an urban farm it is.
Yes,
I mean, let's talk a little bit how you got into this concept of urban farm.
Well, I think we bought the lot next to our house. We didn't want anyone to build right on top of our backyard. And then the question was, what do we do with all of this space? And we always had an interest in eating healthy, and I had some experience with global gardens and a little bit of, gardening through raised beds. And that just started the conversation. We partnered with Grog's Green Barn and started kind of designing our dream.
And it's not just about the garden. You have a lovely garden home here as well, but it's actually being utilized for part of the sustainability.
Yes. So my husband was very interested in this whole idea of collecting rainwater. So he calculated the exact roof space that we would need in order to have enough rainwater to provide that for all of our edibles throughout the season. And so we have a 2,500 gallon freshwater tank that we get the water from the rain off of the roof.
So here's where you're holding all that precious water.
Yes.
And it's large, but you've actually hit it really well. It's on the back side here. It's the same color.
Yes. So I think when it arrived, we were very nervous about how large it was. So we decided to dig it down into the ground to help it look not as large.
Okay.
And so it's 2,500 gallon tank. The best part about it is that everything's on an automated watering system. So we're able to control on and off how much moisture is in the water, how much rain we received, just through a phone app. And so it really takes down the amount of time that we have to spend watering.
Right, and plus you're not paying for that water being in the city here.
Yes, and there's nothing better for plants than fresh rainwater.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about some of those other aspects that you've incorporated in your garden to help conserve the water a little bit. That's why you have a berm back here.
Yeah, so we had expressed interest in having some fruit trees and edibles. So we built a berm based on the earth that we had scraped on this lot, and the best part of it is when it rains, it holds water along the berm, and so it really helps do deep watering for our trees. We have 2 peach, 2 apple, a plum, we have asparagus, we have blueberries all on our berm.
So you got a little edible food forest here, and one that's almost like on a hugelculture, that it's capturing that water there. Excellent. And then we come around to your lovely vegetable garden. This is just beautiful. You've got it fenced in, so hopefully keep out some of the critters.
It's worked up to this point, yes. We've been excited about that.
So you've got your cool season crops in already, it looks like. Tell us a little bit about what you've noticed with raised beds and stuff.
Well, I think some of the obvious is that you're not on your hands and knees, and that's really nice. It does keep everything contained, and just, really, I think it's also beautiful that they're raised the way that they are. And I think we can do a lot of planting in a small amount of space too.
Absolutely,
so nice.
Absolutely. And I love your ground cover choice.
You.
You actually have white clover planted around.
Yeah.
Tell us a little why you did that.
So that was a suggestion from a gentleman that we worked with, James Spicer, and he talked about the importance of the ground cover being able to provide an opportunity for bees and butterflies to pollinate your plants, and so it's worked really well. It took about 2 years to get it to this level, but it's been great. We just see a lot of our bees throughout here that really makes a difference on our gardening.
And it's just a nice ground cover to kind of walk around.
It is, yes.
So at the far end here, it looks like you've got some chickens. Can we go take a look at those down there?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how many chickens do you have in here?
We have 2. We just wanted to have the opportunity to see what it was like, and it's so easy. We're excited to add more to our family.
Very nice.
So right now we have 2, and it is Bessie, May, and Boots. And one of them is an Easter egger, and we just love them. So
very nice. Do they get out in the garden any year? Eat some of those insects for you?
Yes, yeah. So whenever we're out in the garden, they were really hesitant at first because we'd really spent most about the first 4 months inside the coop. So this summer when we started, actually this spring we started gardening, we opened up the door and they were really hesitant. Now if I open the door, they fight to get out. Like I have to be really cautious because they want out in the garden to go all throughout. So they don't get in the beds, which we're really thankful for, but they love the clover and eating the bugs. So
well, Rita, I don't know who wouldn't want to spend time out in this garden. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Sure, you're welcome.
Whether you call it your home away from home, your hideout, or your catch-all, garden sheds play an important part for gardeners. It's the place where we put all of our tools to maintain our beautiful landscapes so that hopefully we can still park our car in the garage. Garden sheds come in a variety of shapes and sizes, and over the years we've been in some that are really functional and some that are cozy enough to hang out in. As we've been organizing our garden shed, it got us to thinking about what your garden shed looks like. We want to find out about any clever ways you figured out to organize those tools. Or perhaps you've camouflaged some of the not so pretty parts of the shed, or maybe you've just decorated the outside to make it more attractive in the landscape. We realize this is a bit of a different type of garden contest, but we hope it's a fun way so that we can all learn different ideas to jazz up our garden sheds. So please, send us your photos and a brief description about what makes your garden shed so unique. We'll post some of our top favorites on Facebook, and then you'll have the opportunity to vote on which ones we should go visit. It's time we give the garden shed the recognition it deserves.
30 years, the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program, or NTEP, has connected grass breeders with the testers of turf grasses. So it connects university testing turfgrass programs with the actual breeders of the product. NTEP stands for National Turfgrass Evaluation Program, and it's a private nonprofit organization that connects those two entities. So there are funds from private industry that fund the actual testing. The great thing about NTEP is that the data is posted and it is free in the public domain. Now, NTEP does not engage in actually making recommendations. Recommendations are still left to the extension services in the various states so that specialists can talk about the specifics of what's necessary to have a great turfgrass stand in that state. Now, as you look over this NTEP Kentucky Bluegrass trial, what you'll see is drastic differences in green up. This is normal. You'll also see a little bit of differences in leaf spot tolerance as well. So there are grasses that green up a little bit earlier than others. Sometimes that's due to leaf spot disease, and then other times it's due to tolerance to lower temperature conditions. And whether it is disease tolerance or whether it is dark greenness of color or overall stress tolerance, the NTEP website will be able to tell you the data that is available on those varieties so you can actually examine that data and make informed decisions. We're at the site of the 2018 NTEP, or National Turfgrass Evaluation Program, Tall Fescue Evaluation Trial. This trial will run for a period of 4 years. What we'd like to show you is the development that you could reasonably expect to see from a September seeding and what you can see in March of the year afterwards. Now, as you take a look up close with these tall fescues, you can see we're not at 100% cover in all areas, and yet we would consider this a good to excellent establishment. So it would take up to 1 year to expect to get 100% cover from a good, successful fall seeding. And even though you can see just some little patches of bare soil here, we're not at a point where we would need to reseed this. We see little tiny areas of maybe a 1/2 to a 1 inch void of the surface. The little short rhizomes of tall fescue will fill that area in over time.
While many farmers markets run year-round, some are just now gearing up as the farmers are beginning to harvest their bounty to provide you with local produce. Today we're here at the Langston Pavilion to talk with Micah Anderson about how farmers can make a great table display at the next farmers market. Hello Micah, how are you doing?
Good,
to
how
see
you doing?
You got a beautiful display of vegetables here. Can you tell us a little bit? Did you grow all this stuff yourself?
We did. We grew all this here at Langston University at our horticulture plot down the road, just a few blocks. And we got a pretty good variety of things, tomatoes and cucumbers and eggplant.
So Micah, it looks like you've got a lot of diversity here. It's almost a one-stop shop. Can you tell us a little bit about what went into your selection when you started growing these crops?
Okay, well, here we have, okra, but we also have the burgundy okra. And when I first started growing, working at Farm Bag, I had a lady told me, she said she didn't want the green okra, she wanted the red okra. And I didn't know what she was talking about. Then I went and found it. It's an heirloom, and it's always great to have. It just gives you something different, and a lot of people like it better. So it's something that brings people to your table.
Yeah, different people have different tastes that they like. So, and you've got a couple of different eggplants here also.
Yeah, we have the regular eggplant, the Black Beauty, I think it's called, and then we have the Japanese eggplant. And a lot of people don't realize that this is eggplant, but some of the Asians actually like this much better than the regular eggplant. So it brings diversity to your market, to your table, but also brings people that you would normally wouldn't get to come. And, you know, if they buy this, then they may buy other things from you also.
Well, and I know one that you've still got in the field growing that people love to come for is your purple sweet potatoes.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that crop and how unique it is?
Yeah, it's been a great crop for me because everybody likes it. There's several different purple ones, and I've tried several ones, but I found this one called Becca Purple, and it really has a good taste to it. And you can make a sweet potato pie out of it. You can make a sweet potato cheesecake.
And it makes a purple sweet potato
pie,
right?
It stays purple, and it's beautiful, and it actually has higher health benefits than a regular sweet potato.
Excellent.
So that you know, and the darker colors that you have, the more benefits, the health benefits the food has in it.
So you've been around a lot of farmers markets. You've worked with a lot of people that grow for farmers markets. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about what goes into a good farmers market display?
Well, I think it needs to be, you know, everything is very viewable, and everything needs to be prices marked. Mm-hmm. As we see here, we have, you know, purple peas for $2 and cantaloupes for $3. You know, and then kind of lay it out to where you got different colors. You know, we have the yellow squash and the purple eggplant and green cucumbers, and then we have red tomatoes. Big watermelon or something that's really big, that's really different, always is good to bring people to your table. And so, like, we've got this big watermelon here that weighs like 42 pounds. And sometimes watermelons can get up to 50 or 60 pounds. So you bring that out and everybody's gonna come to look at it. So it's just something interesting. So we kind of lay it all out to where the colors kind of come together and make it pretty. And then you always want the scales where the customer can see how much they're getting when they're weighing it.
Right, so that there's no question about the pricing or anything like that. And also, a lot of farmers markets provide sacks, I know, don't they? If a person doesn't necessarily come with their own sack.
Right, yeah. We if you at a regular farmers market, you can get bags from the Oklahoma Palmer bag. Mm-hmm. You have to pay for them, but you'll get you know, thousands of bags in a box, and it's always nice. So when I go to a farmer's market, sometimes the person next to me, they may be selling something different, and I can always share bags, and the customer's always happy to get those bags.
Right, right. Well, and you know, you've got a lovely display here with your chalkboards. It's very kind of small town grocery store feel almost. I mean, it's a farmer's market feel.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think a lot of grocery stores are trying to emulate this look. So it's beautiful with your baskets and stuff. And you also have recipe cards. Can you tell us a little bit about those recipe cards?
Yeah, you know, the different things we have recipes for, like the okra, and there's a company that supplies these, and they'll have a recipe that has okra in it on the back. And then we have watermelon here, and it tells you how to select a good watermelon. And then it also has a watermelon recipe for watermelon salsa on the back.
Oh, very nice. Because it might be an occasion when somebody comes to a farmer's market and they're not familiar with the actual produce that might be for sale. And so that helps both the consumer and the farmer explain what to do with their crops. So.
But also, sometimes people come, and I don't have any today, but sometimes I have collard greens and things like that. And then they'll ask me, well, how do you cook that? And then stuff like collard greens and okra and peas and different things are in this cookbook. And then they can take this, they can purchase this, and it helps them be able to cook the stuff when they get it home.
All right, so if we need figure out a few soul food recipes there, we've got that cookbook to do that.
There you go.
That's a nice additive there. It's a beautiful display, Micah, and I would suggest that people can go to the Department of Ag website if they want to find more information about farmers markets in their local area.
Yeah, because they have a farmers market coordinator there, and he can help people and the website and all that stuff. Yes.
Today we're
doing Brussels sprouts, bacon, and pistachios. And for some of you, you're going, I love this ingredient, not so much on the other one. I love all of these ingredients. But one of the reasons a lot of people don't like the Brussels sprout so much is because they develop a little bit of an off-putting flavor and an off-putting taste when they're cooked too long. So we're going to roast them in the oven, which tends to enhance their sweetness and their nuttiness, as opposed to bringing out some of the sulfuric gas and hydrogen sulfide and so on, and that makes it smell like rotten eggs. So I've cut them in half because I want them to cook at the same pace. Now we're going to cook them in a 425 to 450 degree oven. The length of time it's going to take for them to roast is going to be dependent on how large your Brussels sprouts are. So I'm giving you times on these, but you've got to use your own judgment. When they're done, pull them out. I like mine a little bit more brown. I also like burnt popcorn, so that may clue you in. Ahead of time, I have cooked 4 slices of bacon, and they were chopped. It was chopped bacon. You could cook the regular pieces and just crumble them up. I mixed that with a tablespoon of olive oil. We're going to stir those together. You could do this on the pan. I tend to make a mess when I do it on the pan. I have a lot more success when I do it in a bowl. Even though I then have to wash one more tool, I have to wash the bowl, I don't have to clean up the floor. So to me, I'm coming out ahead. We just want to toss those together so that all the pieces, Brussels sprout, have oil on them. We're going to put them on our pan. If you've got a few loose leaves, go ahead and use those. I've trimmed these. We started with a pound of Brussels sprouts, and I trimmed them down, which, depending on the stage of your Brussels sprouts, may lose between 4 to 2 ounces as you go through that process. These were in really nice shape when I got them, so I didn't lose very much. Only about an ounce went away as waste. So these are then going to go in my preheated oven, about 425 to 450. If you're baking something else or roasting something else, you can kind of play with the temperatures a little bit and adjust the time. Going to put them in for somewhere between 20 to 30 minutes, but you're going to stir them after 10 minutes. So after that first time you stir them, you come back again, stir them again. If they're looking done, if they are tender at that point, feel free to take them out at that point. Just don't keep going for 30 minutes and making them go beyond where they should be. Hey, these look great to me. As I said, I like them when they get a little bit darker. If you don't, you could try roasting them in a little bit lower oven. But if you pierce them with a knife towards the center at the core, if they are tender at that point, you can pull them out whenever. These went for probably they were less than 20 minutes. So don't worry about adjusting the time to fit your oven. Different ovens work different Brussels sprouts work different, so you just have to kind of play with it. All right, these are just about done. I'm just going to put the last few touches on here. If I can collect the last few sprouts off the plate there or off the tray. Okay, now we're going to put on some pistachio nuts. These have been taken out of the shell. If you shell them yourself, make sure you rub them. You can see here you get a little bit of material off them. Make sure that you rub that off. It lets the colors come through, makes them look a little bit prettier. And then we're going to sprinkle our bacon over the top. Now, if you like Brussels sprouts, you can use less bacon. If you're not a fan yet of the Brussels sprout, then you might want to use a little bit more so you can entice the rest of your family to go ahead and join in as well. Since I like them, I'm going to leave a little bit here in the bowl. Makes great snacking on a salad later on, so they're not getting thrown away. I hope you'll try these. It's Brussels sprouts, bacon, and pistachios. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.
There are lots of great horticultural events this time of year. Be sure and consider these activities when you're making your plans for the weeks ahead. Next week, we have a special program for you about industrial hemp in Oklahoma. Join us as we find out what is hemp, how it is grown, and the current policies governing this burgeoning industry. We hope you join us then for more TV You'll Grow to Love. To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. And we always have great information, answers to questions, photos, and gardening discussions on your favorite social media as well. Join in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find this entire show and other recent shows, as well as individual segments on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And tune in to our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel to watch segments from previous hosts. Oklahoma Gardening is produced by the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University. The Botanic Garden at OSU is home to our studio gardens, and we encourage you to come visit this beautiful Stillwater jewel. We would like to thank our generous underwriter, the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry. Additional support is also provided by Pond Pro Shop, Greenleaf Nursery and the Garden Debut Plants, the Oklahoma Horticultural Society, and the Tulsa Garden Club.